Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created my wedding invitations. I really love how they came out and they saved me a lot of money, so if you're interested in seeing how I made them, just keep watching. I created my invitations in Adobe Illustrator, but you can use Adobe InDesign or Photoshop. And if you don't have Adobe products, you can also use this website called Canva. It's similar to Photoshop. They have a completely free version, as you can see here. This is not sponsored, by the way. I have never personally used Canva, but I've heard really good things about it, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. You could even use Microsoft Word to do these invitations by setting your page to the correct size and embedding images behind your text. There are lots of tutorials to do that online. And if you're going for a super simple look for your invites, that would be a really great option. So here we are in Illustrator, and this is the 5x7 vertical invitation that I created. This is obviously sample information, but this is the same wording and layout that I used for my own invites. I went online and I found sample invitations, and I combined a bunch of the wording that I liked to create my custom design. So you can choose to put whatever you'd like on the invitation. This is just what I chose to have kind of a contrast between formal and casual. I also suggest choosing two contrasting fonts like this. I chose a sans serif font and a more calligraphy style font, and I suggest putting the bulk of your information in the simpler font so that it's easy to read, and then dressing it up with the fancier font. If you're looking for fonts, there's this site called dafont.com where you can search thousands of fonts and install them to your computer. There's a section at the top with categories to help you find what you need, and you can donate to the creator of each font as well. And as you can see, it directs you to their PayPal or whatever service they've chosen to be paid through. I have a collection of wildflowers that I used here from a designer pack, but you can find clip art online for free as well, and you can create your own design with tools in Illustrator or Photoshop. I wanted a wildflower theme to go with my farmhouse style wedding, so that's what I chose, but you can do whatever your little heart desires. So this is the 4x6 RSVP that I created, and I just put the date we wanted it returned by at the top, which should generally be at least a month out from your wedding date. And then I just chose some cute phrases for yes or no. You can find a huge variety of options and ideas online. And at the bottom, I put a line for food allergies, and you could also include a song request line here or whatever you want. It's totally customizable. Speaking of customizable, this is the 4x6 details card I created. I suggest putting basic high-level information about your weddings, such as the address of the ceremony, reception, your dress code, and your wedding website. And you could also put your registry info here. I just suggest keeping it very basic. Keep all of your specific information on your website so that this card doesn't look super cluttered, because it is only a 4x6. So after your design is finalized, you want to decide on how your invitations are going to be printed. There are a couple options here. You can export your file as a press-ready PDF and send the design to your print vendor, or you can print at home, which is what I did. I have a Canon photo printer that I used, and it worked really great. To print at home though, you'll need to purchase the paper you want for your invitations. So what I did was I bought a pack of parchment paper at Staples for $22. There's 100 sheets, and I can actually fit a whole 3-piece suite on one piece of paper. Since I only needed 50 invitations, I would need only 50 pieces of paper, and that left me with half the box to create other wedding signs for my venue. I bought this paper cutter at Walmart for $12, and I cut each sheet into 3 pieces. So first I turned the paper horizontal, I cut it at 5 inches, and then I turned it and cut off 1.5 inches on the bottom, since the paper on this side was originally 8.5 and we want it 7 inches. And there's your 5x7. You should be left with a piece that's 8.5 by 6. So since we want to create 2 4x6 cards, this works perfectly. I turned the paper horizontal, I cut at 4 inches, and then the height is already correct. And then you just want to trim that extra 1/2 inch off the other piece, and you have 2 4x6 cards and very little waste left over from the one sheet. Next, I printed each piece directly out of Illustrator. You can also save your document as a press-ready PDF and then print, but I found for some reason that borderless printing only really works for me straight out of the application. I think that's just my computer, but anyway, it's your call on how you want to do it. For this, you'll want to see if your printer does borderless printing, and you can check it by looking at different print sizes that the printer offers. If it does borderless, you'll see that option beside the size in the drop-down menu. I went File, Print, and then selected 5x7 borderless. Then you just load your paper into the back of the printer, and that was it. I love how these print on the parchment paper. They look really soft, which I think matches my vintage vibes really well. For the other two cards, I just changed my print settings to 4x6 borderless and changed the orientation of the page. You just want to make sure that the orientation is correct. These are going to print horizontally, so just make sure all of that is right or it's going to print the wrong way. Now I'll show you how I did my envelopes, because this saved me so much time. There are so many different ways you can do this. You can order labels, you can have these printed at a professional print shop, like send them all your addresses, but I just did it at home. I purchased the 5x7 and 4x6 envelopes on Amazon, and then I go into Pages. You can use Word also, but I used Pages. I set my page size to be 5x7 horizontal, and then I just chose a typewriter font to go with my vintage look. You can create a whole document with everyone's addresses, like on each page, and then just print them out onto your envelopes. And the only thing I suggest is make sure that you turn off facing pages to avoid your envelopes printing every other envelope in the wrong direction, because it took a lot of trial and error to figure that out, and I ruined a lot of envelopes. So just my suggestion is to print in small batches of 5 or so to ensure everything is working okay. And I actually suggest this for everything, like including the invitations, because the last thing you want is 100 of these printing with some kind of error on them. Print in small batches and catch it early if there's something wrong, and just work very slowly. For the RSVP return envelope, I did the same as before, but I set my document to 4x6, and then I put my own address in the center. And then once everything is printed, it's time for the fun part, assembly. So for this, I purchased a roll of white cooking twine from Amazon to keep my vintage farmhouse theme, but you can use whatever you want to secure your invite suite together. I took my 2 4x6 cards with details pointing outward. I tucked them into the RSVP envelope flap. And you want to also make sure that you've stamped all of your RSVP envelopes so your guests don't have to worry about postage. You can just throw them back in the mail that way and ensure a quick delivery back to you. They don't have to worry about putting a stamp on it. Then I take that bundle, I place it on top of the main invitation like this, and I cut a piece of twine and just tied it around the bundle and into a bow or a knot, whatever you want. You can also use a piece of tape on the back to hold the twine, but I found that it stays pretty fine on its own. And that's it, you're done. These mailed no problem, just needing one stamp on the front of the envelope. They are not too heavy at all, and I think they came out so cute and perfect for my theme. If you like this invitation layout, I do sell it on my Etsy page, so feel free to check that out. And I do not offer printing, but I can customize this and many other styles for you, and then you can send it off to your own print vendor. And I'm also working on other event signage for bridal showers and bachelorette parties, so if you're looking for something like that, check me out. My shop is Wild Metal Design, and I will link it below. Thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that it inspires you to create your own invitations. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.